mate? Happy?
Well, I'm happy. Hopefully he's happy. He's paying for it.
G'day and welcome to the Harley Roadshow. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're regular, welcome back. Well, here we are again down here at GRM Performance, which is formerly Ghost Riders Motorcycles, and we're down here with Romy with the 2010 Fat Boy. I'm not going to show you it yet, but having spoken to Romy this morning, everything's going really smoothly. Not. What's going on?
Well, we installed the front wheel and guard and all that, and we discovered something interesting. As part of the pain of building a bike from all bits and pieces from different models to make it work in a certain way. What the problem was, the whole front end, it's off a tourer. Yep. Which is fine, it's all good, everything works together properly.
And that was because you wanted to get the dual front disc,
yeah? Because of the dual front disc,
yep.
Yeah. We tried to get the bike to stop, because it accelerates pretty quick.
Because we tried the parachute didn't work.
Yeah, the parachute didn't work, so we have to...
It was cumbersome.
So what we did, we installed a dual disc front end, which for this particular type of legs, the only low legs and wheel that we could use was off a tourer. Yep. Now, that's all good. The problem is the triple tree is the distance in between the legs is 5 mils narrower, which causes another issue that the calipers don't fit. So now we have to machine a set of extremely expensive performance machine calipers, and we have one shot to machine them, and they have to be. So I spent half a day yesterday building a jig on the mill, so I can bolt the calipers through 100% through, because if you machine them on a slightest angle, then the pads, they're not going to squeeze the discs in a through. Or go in an angle, so obviously the brakes, they're not going to work properly. So I spent half a day yesterday building a jig on the mill to bolt the calipers through square 100%, and then we bolt that caliper. One is already done. As you can see, it's already installed on the bike. The other one we're going to machine now together, just for the exercise to see what's involved to machine a set of $1,000 calipers.
All right, let's get into it. So here we are.
All right. So this is our little jig that I've built yesterday. It's all set up. I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to take it off. The fact is, this surface, the lower surface and the upper surface, they perfectly parallel, and they're also through 90 degrees with the head. Yep. So the problem was we have to machine this face here. We have to take 2.5 millimeters off it. Yep. And we have to make sure that this surface will be 100% parallel with this surface, which actually squares, because if it's not, the caliper will sit in an angle. So when the pads, they're going to squeeze crook. Yep. So you don't have to be an engineer to understand that's a problem. Yep. So we built this jig, and we're bolting the caliper. This face, it's 100% true machined with this. So we're going to bolt this face to this face, and then we know when we machine this side, it will be 100% true parallel, and we're not going to have issues.
Fingers crossed. Let's go for it.
like a glove. You gotta love it. I love machining. Love machining.
Okay, so what have we done so far today?
We finished the bars.
Yep.
We run all the cables and lines through the bars.
Yep.
We bleed the clutch. We bled the clutch.
We've connected all that in as well.
Yep. Bled the rear brake. We now to the point I have to hook up a few lines on the front brake line.
Yep.
Bleed the front brake lines too. Install the exhaust.
Yep.
Install the tank and fire it up.
Fire it up. Look out. So you're putting a 2-into-1 exhaust on this, correct?
Yep.
So what are the benefits? I think you said the benefits of that. What are the benefits of a 2-into-1?
Well, when you build a high-performance engine on any bike or car, exhaust is critical. And that is the reason that you're trying to evacuate as much gas out of the cylinder, to empty the cylinder as much as you can. Mm-hmm. So on the next cycle, the cylinder gets filled up with more oxygen and air fuel mixture. So the high-performance exhausts, they work really well with scavenging, which it's an effect that the high-performance exhausts have, and probably a lot of people heard of it.
Yep.
Basically, what happens is, as you see here, the two extractors, they're connected. Now, this length, it's calculated to have it has to have a certain length. Ideally, they have to have the same length in between the cylinders, and also it's really important because what happens when the fumes they're coming out with high pressure being pushed out and kicked by the piston, they travel with very high speed to the header, and as they travel, the valve shuts behind them. So as they travel, they create, after the fumes evacuate completely the cylinders, the fumes ahead, they keep on traveling through the exhaust, so they create a little bit of a vacuum behind them, and that vacuum is passed on to the other exhaust. So if you got an exhaust cycle on the rear cylinder, then it creates a bit of vacuum into the front cylinder. So it's a bit of a lower pressure system. So when the valve opens, instead of fighting a little bit of pressure into the exhaust, that pressure is much lower. So that helps the motor evacuating fumes by a little bit, and obviously transporting more horsepower to the bike.
And that's called scavenging.
It's called scavenging effect, yes, and it's very, very important. That's why you, on high-performance engine, high-rev engines, you're always going to have an engine delivering more horsepower when you got a proper exhaust, especially a 2-in-1 or 4-in-2, or depending on how many cylinders you got.
So how much more horsepower would you get? Like,
well, I've seen on bikes that we built, they have a rubbish exhaust. We built a stage 6 for a customer. He didn't want to change the exhaust. He wanted to keep the one that he had. He had true duals, which is horrible for performance on a Heritage. And we tried to explain to him it's not going to run very well with that exhaust. And he said, look, I'll take my chances. I really like the exhaust. And we tuned the bike and we got just under 100 horsepower. So it was like 25 horsepower missing. And then we put the right exhaust. That's all we did, just replace the exhaust, retune it, 125 horsepower. So it can be quite significant depending on the exhaust and depending on the bike and depending on the engine mods and all that. Obviously it varies a lot. But for this particular model that we built and for this particular setup, a 2-in-1 exhaust, it's basically critical to get the most out of the motor. That's what you pay for.
This is Mike, the owner of this bike here, and he's getting a custom seat done at the moment too, which is all looking pretty groovy so far. Looks gonna look fantastic.
Save for the end product.
It is gonna look fantastic. You happy?
Oh, thank you.
So Mike's turned up because we're actually going to start this today and see how it goes. And he's like a dog with two dicks at the moment.
Ready?
Go for it. Mate, happy?
Well, I'm happy. Hopefully he's happy. He's paying for it.
I think by the look on his face, he's happy. Man, that sounds wicked.
Sounds this bad because it's out of tune. There's no tune on it. It's just.
But we've got to get on the dyno and that, yeah?
Yeah.
So you do 100 k's on the dyno?
Yep.
You get it all.
I'm gonna need a seat first, though.
Yeah.
Sweet. You've got something to open?
So that's what the bike, I'm just talking to Mike. So this bike, just so everybody knows, this bike was actually in a fire.
Yep.
Right? And that's what it looked like after it was in the fire. So this thing was a total basket case.
Yep.
To what it is now, it is ridiculous. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll give you that back.
Turn the blind thing on, let's have a beer.
You mate.
Ready?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, Mike. Cheers. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to build a bike for you.
Yeah, mate, awesome.
Cheers.
I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Harley Roadshow. It's been a great day down here. Everybody's really, really happy with how everything's turned out. Make sure you tune in next week when we do the official handover to Mike with this magnificent beast of a motorcycle. Just got to do a bit of time on the dyno with Romy, and once that's all done, we get the seat installed. We're ready to go. Stay tuned. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up. If you wouldn't mind subscribing, I'd really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Harley Roadshow. Remember, always take the time to make someone smile and get off that couch.